The notes are out there if anybody wants them. I don't know how many copies we have available, but if you're a couple, husband and wife, maybe you guys can share a copy. But they are in the back. You can ask Sister Hoppy or Brother Morrow. They'll get you a copy. They're in the foyer. And you guys know the deal. You can just get them on your iPhones or your iPads. Good morning to everybody that's watching. Good morning to everybody that's here. And a Shabbat Shalom to you, a restful peace. It is good to be in Yah's house, for sure. I want to remind everybody to keep Sister Barbara in prayer. She's really, really struggling, going through all sorts of different things. A lot of you guys know exactly what's going on. And of course, Jim, we lift you up in prayer. And Ida, and Mosey, always. But certainly, Barbara right now really needs our voice to come before Father on her behalf. So if you could do that, we would appreciate it. The Passover is right around the corner. It's coming very, very quickly. One thing that PM didn't mention is that on the 4th, the day that we have the mikveh, that Tuesday is Passover. So not only are we going to have the mikveh that day, but we're going to need some help right after the mikveh to get this place ready and together, because we got to get ready for the Passover. We got to clean up the tub. We got to do that labor of love and put all that stuff back in. So if anybody can hang out with us afterward, we would sincerely appreciate it. More hands. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember, Royal Rangers used to be like a little Christian Boy Scout club we used to have. And the saying was, many hands makes the buffalo light. So we can use you guys, help with the buffalo. All right, so good morning to everybody. If this is the first time watching, I'm Dave Sain, Senior Shepherd here. Thank you so much for being part of LMC. As PM said, give us a like, give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. It helps this message get out to people. But our opening verse for this morning is the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 5, and two verses, verses 17 and verse 18. And it says the following: Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete or fulfill. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, one yod or one jot, nor one tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. Now, for a few moments this morning, the topic and the title of the message is Not One Jot or Tittle. Not one jot or tittle. You guys, I know the prayer here. If you know it at home, please pray it with us. Father, give us eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart that is willing to obey. In the Master's name, amen. Amen. Okay. So as I said, Passover is coming up really quickly. It's literally right around the corner. We're in the middle of March already. And obviously we are celebrating Passover, unleavened bread. That's a week of eating no bread with leaven in it. Maybe we'll share some unleavened bread recipes. We do unleavened bread pizza. We do unleavened bread wraps. We got all sorts of different things. Sister Laura made an awesome candy a couple of years ago that you got to do that again. That was awesome. From the unleavened bread. So lots of different things that you can do. I actually used it to make meatballs one time. I made my own breadcrumbs out of unleavened bread. It tasted pretty good. So for that week, we do that. And of course, first fruits at the end of that. And then we can make the count all the way to Shavuot, and the whole year goes on, and we do those things. And if you're like me, and you know, obviously we've been doing this for a little while, but we have all heard at one point or another with our family, our friends, people that know what we do, they've asked the question, are you guys Jewish? Why are you celebrating Passover? Why would you do that? Why are you celebrating unleavened bread? And I know, at first, you try to explain the whole thing. It's kind of tough after a while. But I do want to give us a reason or an explanation to give to others as to why we do this, why this is so important. Because basically, from sort of the global church view, most of the modern day believers called church would look at the things that we're doing and say, no, that's Judaism, that's Jewish stuff. We're supposed to be worshiping Messiah. Now realizing that is exactly what we are doing. We are acknowledging the Messiah in the very ways that he gave us to acknowledge him. And of course, what comes with that very often, as I know that you guys know, is since there is a New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all of the letters up to the book of Revelation, very often the perspective is, well, that's what we should be reading and doing and neglecting or not even bother with everything else that came before because it's not about us, it's about the Jews. First of all, beloved, what we do here is not Judaism. We are not mimicking Judaism. We're not trying to be Jewish. That is not what we are doing here. But we are followers of the Messiah, and we are citizens of Israel, the commonwealth, the kingdom of Israel. And the commandments and the instructions are written to the people of Israel, of every nation, tribe, and tongue. So I want to try to give you guys a little bit of an explanation, a little bit of a direction as to why we do this, why this is so important. The opening verse should be familiar to you guys. I did not come to destroy the Torah or the prophets. Just that verse by itself really kind of says a whole lot. I did not come to destroy. I did not come to get rid of. I did not come. And I want you to listen to this word and keep it in the back of your mind because it will make sense as we go through this. He did not come to kill the law and the prophets. Now, why would he say something like that? I didn't come to destroy the Torah or the prophets, but I came to complete it. It's because what he's about to tell them, what he's about to share with them, is going to be very different from what the rabbis were telling them, from what the Judaism of its day, Pharisaic Judaism, Sadduceic Judaism, and even today, rabbinical Judaism. The understanding of the Torah is very, very different the way that the Messiah explains it. It is the Torah the way Elohim intended for it to be understood. The problem was when we open up our Bibles and we read about the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes, etc., 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 it was the traditions. It was rabbinical law, not Mosaic law that they were following. It was Pharisaic law, not Mosaic law that they called it Mosaic law. They called it Torah. Just because you call something one thing doesn't make it it. And that is exactly what the Messiah says multiple times over. So when they hear what the Master says, and more than that, when they see what the Master does, it will seem, and it does seem like this to many in the story of the gospel, that what he is doing is he is changing the law and the prophets. He is destroying the concept of the law and the prophets. So right out in the beginning, he says, no, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to fulfill it. Now, I know we've talked quite a few times about these verses and given some explanation, a little bit different angle for us today. So when he says he's come to fulfill it, that's important. That's really, really important for us to understand, especially today in the midst of the world of Christendom around us, believers, and that's not just Christian, no, it's Christendom, Islam, Judaism. It's important for us to understand what those words mean. What does it mean when he says, I've come to complete it, or I have come to fulfill it? And he says, of course, it is the law and the prophets. I want to show you something here. And again, this is, if you follow me on the notes, this is number 3 on your notes. He is not talking about rabbinic law, as I said. He's not talking about Pharisaic law, nor is he talking today about Talmudic law. None of those things are the gospel or the story of Moses that the Messiah brings to us. It just is not Torah the way the Torah is written to us. I know you say, yeah, but the Torah is written to them. Shouldn't they be the ones that define the book? No, the Torah was written by him. He's the one who defines the book, not us and not them. But when we do say law, or when he uses the word law as it appears in some of our versions, he means Torah, it means instruction. Basically, and I know you guys know this, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy are the 5 books of the Torah or the law. Even though there are times when Messiah refers to the entire book as the Torah, including the prophets. But he breaks it up into 2 parts here. He breaks it up into the law or the Torah, and he breaks it up into the prophets. The prophets would be, from our perspective, the books that we have in our hand, would be from the story of Joshua, the book of Joshua, right after Deuteronomy. The last book in most of the Bibles that we have is the book of Malachi. Our Jewish brethren have the book of 1st and 2nd Chronicles as their last book, but all the same books are on the inside. So whichever, when we say prophets, we are talking about from Joshua all the way to the end of the book for us before the Gospel of Matthew comes into play. All of those books, including the Song of Solomon, including Psalms, including Ecclesiastes, even though sometimes in a theological manner, we sometimes separate the Torah and the prophets from the wisdom books or the writings. And that's, I guess, for a theological perspective, that's okay. But in totality, all of the Psalms are prophecy. All of the Song of Solomon is prophecy. All of Ecclesiastes is prophecy. So when we say the prophets, it literally means from Joshua all the way to Malachi. So Elohim's word is broken up into, by the master's own words, into two separate things: the law and the prophets. And he says, I did not come to destroy. And if you destroy something, pretty much you're going to what? Kill it. Get rid of it. Be done with it. I did not come to kill the two parts of the word. Instead, he says, I have come to fulfill it. Now, you guys have been under my ministry long enough. We've spent lots of time looking at all of the stories, and not even all of them. There's so many still to go through we haven't even touched. But a lot of the stories that we go through when we read what we call the Torah and the prophets, we're looking for Messiah in them. We're trying to understand the story in its relationship to Messiah, because he tells us the whole book is written about him. So again, this should be familiar to all of us, but as he says, I didn't come to destroy, but to complete. Here's what he means by to complete or to fulfill. Everything that he was about to do. Everything, guys. I mean everything, because he tells us not one jot or one tittle. I know most of you know what a jot and a tittle is, but basically a jot is a very small marking that's used in the writing of Hebrew. And a yod or a tittle is literally, it's the first letter of yod he wav he. It looks like a little comma stuck up in the air. Two very, very small marks. I guess in English we would say not one crossing of a T or a dotting of an I will escape. That's sort of our way, a more modern way of saying it, but they understood what he meant. He's telling them nothing within the law and the prophets is to be destroyed. That's not what he's come to do, but he has come to fulfill it or to complete it. Here's how he fulfills it or completes it. Everything he does, I mean everything, from the beginning of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all the way to the end of the book, we are going to find the entire story of the law and the prophets in his life, and beyond that as well. He didn't come to destroy, but he came to complete. Up on the screen over there, you see, these are some of the things we've talked about already. Messiah is the story of the garden. He's the tree of life, as we have been talking about before. But he's also the son that is promised to the man and to the woman who will step, this is important, crush the serpent's head, but the serpent will bite his heel. Messiah is a parent, and there in the beginning in the story, it's him. He is there. He's the one who walks in the cool of the evening with Adam. Messiah is Abraham and is Isaac. He's Abraham because Abraham goes down to Egypt. Abraham, Elohim, as a type of Elohim, has a begotten son, Isaac. Messiah is a type of Isaac. So in essence, we could say Isaac really is a type of Messiah. It is teaching us about the Messiah, how the Father would one day give his son on an altar for all of us. But of course, you know the story. That doesn't happen. Elohim stops it. But that's Messiah. We're talking about Messiah. This is the story of Messiah. Messiah is in the burning bush. He is the voice of the angel that speaks to Moses and tells him, the ground upon which you are standing is holy. Take your shoes off. That's Messiah in the Torah. Messiah in the Torah is the voice from Mount Sinai, the thunder and the lightning, and the voice that shouts out to all the peoples in all the languages that they understood the commandments, all 10 of the commandments, also known as the 10 words. That is Messiah in the Torah. Messiah is King David, or King David is a type of the Messiah. He is the one who slays the giant. He is the one that will lead the people of Elohim back to to Jerusalem. He is the one that will start the plans for the temple. And then when Solomon comes, his son, the temple is Messiah. He walks in the beginning of the gospel and says, destroy this temple and I will rebuild it in 3 days. Yes, he's speaking about his own body, but what he's telling them is, my body is the temple. I am the temple. And of course, they do destroy it, and that temple gets destroyed as well. Everything, that's just a couple, that's just 6 basic topics, but everything in the Torah is about Messiah. So when he says, I've come to complete it or fulfill it, I haven't come to destroy it, to kill the witnesses, I've come to fulfill it. This is what he means. I want you to understand me in every story, in every parable, in every historical event. I'm there throughout the entire thing. And that's what we were supposed to notice. That's what they were supposed to notice. But of course, when the Pharisees begin to hear this and they begin to see this, they take it as, this isn't Torah. This isn't the law. He's blasphemous in the things that he's saying when he was not blasphemous at all. Here's the Gospel of John, chapter 5 and verse 46, with regards to those slides there. He says, for if you believed in Moses, this is the master speaking to Pharisees, the leaders, if you believed in Moses, you would have believed in me, since he wrote about me. But if you do not believe his writings, how shall you believe my words? There's the problem. There's the problem as the gospel story opens up. They didn't believe Moses' words. They didn't understand. They had an understanding of Moses' words, but they didn't believe it, because if they did, here the Messiah says, if you understood what these stories were about, you would understand who I am. And they did not. But notice he tells them, these are, if you believed Moses, who writes the Torah. Now, of course, we're talking about Torah and prophets, but Torah in this case. He did not come to destroy. He did not come to kill the witness of the law and the prophets. He came to fulfill it. It becomes a calling card. It becomes an identification. It's a big thing now. Everybody's talking about whether you have ID to go vote or not, and that whole thing that's out there in the political thing, which I think is a good idea nonetheless. Because my goodness, you need ID to go to a store. You need ID to go to an airport. You need ID for everything else. What does the ID do? It proves who you are. Guess what Messiah's ID is? The law and the prophets. It's his ID, so that if you understand it, you will recognize him. So if he's in the law and the prophets, why, oh why would we say that does not apply to us anymore? That it has no bearing on us anymore? Because what he's telling us is, if you don't understand this, you'll never truly understand me. And it's not just the law and the prophets, because I said we are now moving into the season of the feast. The spring feast are coming. And I'll let you guys know when the first day comes. We're going to do it on our morning mannas. I'll let you know when the first day of the Abib comes. And we'll mention it'll be next week. It's right after the spring solstice, which is coming up. But we'll make note of all of that, and we'll do a quick explanation as to how the days are going to unfold for us. But on the pictures that are right in front of us, these, if the story of the garden, the story of Abraham and Isaac, the story of Moses in the burning bush, the story of Mount Sinai, the story of David, the story of the temple is all about Messiah, we need to understand those things. The feasts are also stories about Messiah. Here is Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 1. Listen to Abbas. Listen to Elohim's word. It says, and Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, the appointed times of Yah. These are my appointed times. They're Yah's appointed times, which you are to proclaim, to pronounce, to let people know about. As a set-apart gathering, I want you guys to get together when these things come around. They're called my appointed times, my Moedim, my times of gathering with you are these. They're his. They belong to him. Just like the story of Abraham, these feasts tell us about the Messiah. They teach us who he is, what he would do, when he would do it, how he would do it. The format of why it would get done comes in the feast. And these days are called a memorial for the house of Israel. A memorial just means a remembrance. He wanted whoever is called the house of Israel, first the earthly house of Israel, that is the actual people that came out of the Exodus, he wanted them and all of their children who would ever come to remember these things on a yearly cycle so that you don't forget. But bigger than that, remember these things so that when he comes, you can recognize him, because he is the Passover whose blood was put over the doorpost to rescue the firstborn. He is the unleavened bread that they ate as they walked out of Egypt. He is the manna that fell from heaven as they gathered an omer and counted an omer. He is the 10 commandments, he is the 10 commandments, the giving of the Torah at Shavuot. That's him. He is the blowing of the shofar, the calling of the assembly. He is the goat for Yah at Yom Kippur that takes away the sin. And he is the one who tabernacles in the midst of all the other tabernacles or tents of the house of Israel. These are the 7 feasts of Yah. He is all of these things. And these things are given to us as a memorial so that we never, ever forget the story that got us to Messiah and who he is. Say, oh, well, I know Messiah. I don't have to know those stories anymore. No, you're going to miss out on all the color and all the beauty and all the intricacies of who he is if you think these things have nothing to do with us. Now, granted, there is no temple. There should not be a temple now. You are the temple of Elohim. These are feasts that were to be done at the temple of Elohim, of which you are. These are still memorials. Fine, we can't offer up a lamb or a goat. Don't have to. It's already been offered up. But we can remember. As a matter of fact, the word memorial there really means a dress rehearsal. These are dress rehearsals from our perspective of things that have happened, but also still things that are about to happen. Because he said, not one jot or one tittle until heaven and earth pass away. Well, I'll just, go outside. There's still a one. Heaven and earth. Not everything has been fulfilled yet. A lot has, but not everything yet. They are his feasts. So if he's in the feasts and he's in the very stories, again, why, oh, why would we get rid of them? Why, oh, why would we say they have no bearing on us? What does not have bearing on us is the law of the rabbis, the law of the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Talmudic law has no bearing on us, and we are not made right before Elohim through a Levitical priesthood. That much absolutely is true. That's why there is no temple. But we are made right by those same sacrifices in Messiah, who is the fulfillment of them. He fulfills the law and the prophets, every jot and every tittle. If you understand what I'm saying, say amen. We're going around the mountain. I know. That's our way. You know that already. So if he is Isaac, and he is Abraham, and he is the burning bush, and he is Joseph, the guy who gets traded for money and sent to Egypt, for silver, thrown into a pit and sent for Egypt. Doesn't that sound familiar? Mashiach. If he is all of those things, I want you to realize he is something else as well. Yeshua Nensade is how you would say it in Aramaic. Yeshua or Yahusha is the Israel of God. The Israel of Elohim. Now this becomes a problem in a couple of ways. For our Islamic brethren, one of the things that they have a real tough time wrapping their minds around is the idea that the Mashiach is indeed Elohim in the flesh. Absolutely reject that. But then, again, so do our Jewish brethren. They absolutely, outrightly reject that. But there's another issue that comes up with our Jewish brethren when it comes to reading what we call the prophets, one of the witnesses. They read in the book of Isaiah over and over and over again about the servant, the one who is the servant. And it explicitly says that the servant is Israel. Here is Isaiah chapter 49, number 6 on your notes. Listen to what Isaiah says about the servant. It says, "Listen to me, O coastlands, and hear, you peoples from afar. Yahweh has called me from the womb, from my mother's belly, and has caused my name to be remembered." Now, all of a sudden, your spidey senses should be going up. Where was he called from? The womb. And his name is to be remembered. "And he made my mouth like a sharp sword." Okay, definitely spidey sense now. His mouth is a what? Sharp sword. "In the shadow of his hand he hid me. I wasn't seen, understood. And he made me a polished shaft. In his quiver he hid me. And he said to me, you are my servant, O Israel, in whom I am adorned." And our Jewish brethren read this, and they read Israel, and they're thinking Jacob, who becomes Israel, the nation of Israel, that Israel is the servant of Elohim. And she is. She absolutely is, or she was at that time the servant of Elohim. But that's not who he's talking about here. He's talking about the Israel of Elohim who has a sword coming from his mouth, the one who was called from the womb, the one that was hidden in Elohim and not seen until he was seen, and his name is to be made known to all the coastlands, all the peoples afar. It goes on to say, "And I said, you are Israel in whom I am adorned. And I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for emptiness and in vain. But my right ruling is with Yahuwah, and my work with my Elohim. And now, says Yahuwah, who formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob back to him, though Israel is not gathered to him." Hold on a second. There's two Israels. There's the Israel he's talking to, who is the servant, who is going to bring back Jacob, Israel, though Jacob and Israel is not with him. But our Hebrew brethren read this and they say, no. Israel is the servant. Israel's the one to do all of these things. And that's just not true. That's the problem they had with the Pharisees and Sadducees. They couldn't see it. Can everybody see that? Two Israels we're talking about. One who's the called servant from the womb, who was hidden in Yah, not fully seen until he's seen. And then his name is made wonderful, or made to be known. And let's go on. "To bring back the servant Jacob back to him, though Israel is not gathered to him. Yet I am glorified in the eyes of Yahuwah, and my Elohim has been my strength. And he says, shall it be a small matter for you to be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to bring back the preserved ones of Israel?" Again, two Israels. "I shall give you," the Israel who is the servant, "I shall give you as a light to the nations," the Gentiles, "to be my deliverance to the ends of the earth." So our Jewish brethren read this and they say, well, it is Israel's job, it's Judaism's job to be the light of the world, to bring deliverance to the ends of the earth. Well, that's never happened. It isn't happening now. This is not about the Israel who are the direct descendants of Jacob, but it is about Israel who is the servant of Elohim, who is to be a light to the Gentiles. Some of these verses should be real familiar because we read them in the New Testament. They quote these and saying, this is who Messiah is. So the prophets tell us a servant is coming whose name is Israel. This is a type. This is a shadow. Just like he is the voice of the burning bush, just like he is David, just like he is Isaac, just like he is all of the other characters have something to do with them. They tell us about Messiah. So does Israel, that is Jacob, and Israel, the nation. The nation, everything on earth, beloved, is a shadow and type to tell us a bigger story, yet to come. If you understand what I'm saying, say amen. I really want to make sure you guys get this. This is really big. So, Israel, by this Israel, I mean the 12 tribes, the actual literal Israel, the descendants of Jacob. Their story goes from Abraham being told he's going to have to take his son to offer him. He doesn't. He's told he's going to be a blessing to the nations. He's told he's going to have children from his own body that are going to inherit a land. Everything on earth is a type, a shadow. They're going to inherit a land. Of course, that's the land of Canaan. And from Abraham comes Isaac, and Isaac comes Jacob. Jacob comes, and he has how many sons? 12. And he winds up having, his son having 2 sons, and they get added in. But every time you read about the sons of Jacob, whether it's adding Ephraim and Manasseh or not, it always works out to be 12. 12 sons he has. Those 12 sons, that is, and they are called Israel. Jacob's name get changed from Jacob, from heel catcher, something not so good, from usurper to something good, the Prince of El, or the one who struggles with Elohim. His name gets changed, and Israel, his descendants, and himself go down to Egypt, where they spend quite a lot of time. Thus, the Passover story that gets them out of Egypt. And out of Egypt, they wind up wandering for the next 40 years, walking throughout the wilderness of Arabia, because they were bit by serpents. The same as the story in the beginning. The man and the woman, Adam and Eve. The serpent comes and lies to them. He changes the testimony, tweaks the testimony, kills the testimony, and says, Yah did not mean what he said, that you would die. And of course, we know what happens from then on. Well, Israel gets into the wilderness. This is after Mount Sinai. They're ready to go. It's time to go into the land. Elohim's going to show them the land. But before he does, he sends out 12 to go and spy out the land. Go check it out. See what it's about. They go. They spy out the land. They all come back, and 10 of them say, all 12 of them say, land's beautiful, gorgeous. It's a land, like Elohim said, flowing with milk and honey. But 10 of them said, yeah, but unfortunately, there are the giants there, the sons of the Anakim. And we're like little itty bitty grasshoppers next to them, and we can't do this. But 2 witnesses who saw this whole thing said, yeah, it's true. Land flowing with milk and honey. Yeah, the Anakim are there, but Elohim's with us. And if Elohim's with us, let's just go do this. And this didn't go over so well. This is Numbers chapter 14 and verse 6. It says, and Yehoshua, that's Joshua, and Yehoshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, Joshua and Caleb, they are 2, say it with me, witnesses. They are 2 witnesses who were among those who had spied out the land. They tore their garments, because people are saying, no, we can't do it. So they tore their garments in repentance and in mourning for this. Verse 10, when they did this and told the people, we can go do this, look what the people wanted to do. But all the congregation said to stone them with stones, or do what? Kill the 2 witnesses. They wanted to kill the 2 witnesses, shut them up, vote somebody else in over Moses, and take us back to Egypt. Why do you want to go back to Egypt? It's ruined anyway, but that's what they wanted to do. So Elohim's response to Moses is this: because they have now been bitten by snakes, because they've now, just like in the garden, they heard Elohim's word, which said, go and I'll be with you. But instead of it, they backed out and they did not believe it. This is the same sin as the garden. Elohim didn't say, or did Elohim really say? They twisted it. They killed the word of Elohim and the people failed. Here, they heard the word of Elohim. Same thing happens. They twist it. There's fear. They don't want to do it. And look at what the response of Elohim is. Let me strike them with pestilence and disinherit them and make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. He's talking to Moses. Moses, I would rather make a nation out of you than these people who keep killing the two witnesses. Boy, that's prophecy, guys. That's prophecy right there. And as a result of this, verse 33 says, and your sons shall be wanderers in the wilderness 40 years, and shall bear your whorings until your carcasses are consumed in the wilderness, according to the number of days in which you spied out the land. So they were in the land spying it out for 40 days. A day for a year, a day for a year. So they are in the wilderness as a direct result of forsaking, for allowing the snake to bite them and to change the word and do what the serpent wanted to get done, that is to kill the witness. For 40 days spying, they now have 40 years of literally walking around in circles. A day for a year. Say with me, a day for a year. The reverse of that is a year for a day. 40 of them. 40 of them. You are to bear your crookedness 40 years, and you shall know my breaking off. So here's Deuteronomy chapter 8. So 40 years go by. They're wandering in the wilderness. What were the whole 40 years about? Listen to these words carefully. And you shall remember, this is the end of the 40 years. They're about to get out. They're coming out of the land. This whole Deuteronomy, they're going to go into the new land. And chapter 8, Deuteronomy, verse 2 says, and you shall remember that Yahweh your Elohim led you all these way, these 40 years, so now it's past, to humble you, to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether you guard his commandments or not. In other words, are you going to believe me this time? We did this whole 40-year, 10,000 steps a day, checking out your Apple Watch to make sure you got them all in. We did it for 40 years to see if you'd actually listen to me. That was the purpose or the intention of it, that you would be humbled and that you would guard his commandments, his instructions. And he humbled you, and he let you suffer hunger. And he fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know, and we should all know this one, that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. So the whole purpose of the 40 years of wandering was to test them to see if you will now believe me when I say go. You will now do what I've asked you to do, instead of listening to the serpent, which we're still talking about the garden, but listening to something contrary that's going to get you to doubt what I've said and kill the testimony and want to do what you want to do and cause yourself all sorts of pain. Well, unfortunately, beloved, it winds up that the house of Israel did not learn their lesson. And it's not so far after the time that they are there coming into the land with Joshua that they go down the same exact road that they went before. They did not live by every word that proceeded from the mouth of Elohim. Who failed? Israel failed. Israel was bitten. Israel doubted. Israel killed the witnesses. Number 8 on your notes. In the wilderness, in the middle of the story, I want to take you to 3 specific points. First is Numbers chapter 21 and verse 5. It says, and the people spoke against Elohim and against Moses during the 40 years. So you would think, after having all this happen, sometime in the 40 years, you'd smarten up. And the people spoke against Elohim and Moses, why have you brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no food and water. Now I want to make an addendum here, just a little side note just popped in my head. If there's no water, there's no food, obviously that's hunger. But if there's no water, you're in a dry place. You're in a dry place. What's water? I mean, just fast forward with me for a second. Think spiritually. Fast forward all the way to Messiah. He says, I thirst, give me water. If you would have given me a glass of water, I would have given you living water. The Holy Spirit bubbling up to life eternal. The whole intention of Elohim on our part is that we not be parched. We not be dry places. Meaning that the Spirit of Elohim is in us and we are obedient to the things he says. If you are a dry place, fast forward me just for a second. It's nothing to do with message, just popped into my head. We've all read this before. Someone is demon possessed. We've read the account. Messiah says he's cleaned. They pray over him. Get whatever it is out of him. It leaves him. The man gets cleaned up. Where does the demon go? To dry places. To places where there is no Spirit of Elohim. Where there is no water. Where there is no obedience. And even if you make moral reform, which moral reform is good, we should do moral reform. If you make ethical reform is good, but moral reform and ethical reform is not the same as spiritual reform. And you clean out and you clean up morally and ethically, Messiah says that demon who went to dry places is going to come back, and if he finds you what? Still dry, he will come in with 7 worse. All of a sudden, wait a minute, dry places are a lot more than just an analogy here. This has meaning, and it has meaning here in this text. So one more time. And the people spoke against Moses and Elohim and Moses. Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There's no food, there's no water. And our soul loathes this light bread. What? We just read Deuteronomy 8. What's the whole purpose of the bread the whole time? To learn that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word. They keep messing up. And now they say, not only are we dry and parched, not only do we want to go back, but we can't stand the bread, the manna. You know what I would give to actually taste that? Just think about that for a second. Wouldn't you love to just taste some manna? Absolutely. And they say here, we loathe the bread. Verse 6, and Yahweh sent what? Look at what happens. They have again rejected his word. Despite all the miracles, all the signs, all the getting out of Egypt, because they're hungry and they're thirsty and they're dry, they want to go back. What happens now to them? And Yahweh sent fiery serpents. Guys, these are not just snakes. The idea of a fiery serpent is a nachash. It's a demon. It's a spirit being. Same thing that we see in the garden. It was the nachash that messed with Adam and the woman. It was a spirit being. It's not just an animal. It appears in our text as animals all the time. Not just this. Other animals, beasts, are also spirit beings. It may be a nation, but it's the spirit being behind the nation, the prince of the palace of the principality of Greece or Rome or Babylon, as we read in the book of Daniel. The power behind it. Elohim sends not just regular snakes to them. He has allowed Nechash to come and begin to bite them. Now, if it was just a regular venomous snake, what happens when a regular venomous snake bites you? You die. Go all the way back to the garden. Someone's coming who is going to stomp on the head of the serpent, but the serpent is going to bite his heel. People began to die. Listen to what it says. And Yahweh sent fiery serpents like the garden, demons who are liars, murderers, full of venom, and full of poison. Why? Because the people are liars and murderers, and they're full of venom, and they're full of poison. Why? Because they want to kill the witness, not believe what Elohim said. And he sends them among the people, and they bit the people, and many of the people of Israel died. Many of the people of Israel died. After this event, Moses, of course, makes the staff. We'll talk about that in a second. As they go through their journey in the wilderness, in Deuteronomy, Moses remembers this, that while we did all of this, you had to learn to worship Yah and to worship Yah only. Here's Deuteronomy chapter 6:12. Moses says, or Yah says, be on guard lest you forget Yahuwah who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Fear Yahuwah your Elohim and serve him and worship and swear by his name. Do not go after other mighty ones, the mighty ones of the peoples who are all around you. For Yahuwah your Elohim is a jealous El in your midst, lest the displeasure of Yahuwah your Elohim burn against you, and he shall destroy you from the face of the earth. This has to do, he's talking about the time where they were thirsty, and they didn't want to listen. And Moses has to strike the rock for the water to come out. He warns them, worship Elohim and worship him only. You can see it, it's italicized on your notes, but up there it says, fear Yahweh your Elohim and serve him. That means to worship him. He's telling them you should only worship him, and him only shall you worship. And if you worship any other mighty ones, what's Elohim going to do? The displeasure of Elohim shall burn against you, and he shall destroy you from the face of the earth. That's what he said. This was worship him. This is one of the lessons they had to learn while wandering in the wilderness. And the third lesson is this. They tested Elohim, or they tempted. The word tempt and test is the same word. Means in English it's a little bit different. We say tempted, we're thinking someone's tempting us to do sin, to do wrong, putting something in front of us that will make us stumble. But it also means to test as well. So here's Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 16. Moses says, do not try, do not test, do not tempt Yahweh your Elohim as you tried and you tested or tempted him in Massa when you said we're hungry, when you said we're thirsty, that we should have gone back to Egypt. That was trying and testing him. Or as it says here, do not try him in Massa. Instead, diligently guard the commandments of Yahuwah your Elohim as his witnesses, his laws which he commanded. Hold on a second. Diligently guard the commandment of your Elohim because they are his what? Witnesses. If you don't guard the commandments of Elohim, what are you doing to the witnesses? Killing them, destroying them, removing them. Why? Because you've been bit by snakes and you just keep doubting it and doubting it and doubting it and doubting it. Verse 17, or Exodus chapter 17, just to add to this. And he called the name, because this is where it actually happens in Exodus chapter 17. And he called the name of the place Massa and Meribah, because the strife of the children of Israel, because they tried or they tested Yahuwah, saying, is Yahuwah in our midst or not? So out of this whole story comes, you're only supposed to worship Yahuwah. That's it. You're only supposed to worship him. You're only supposed to worship God or worship any other thing, or else you're going to get destroyed. Out of this comes, don't test me. Stop putting me to the test. I've told you what's going to happen. Believe me. Trust me. Out of this comes the story of them being bitten by snakes and dying because of it, just like in the garden. So again, at the end of the story with Deuteronomy that we just ended with, where it says, to make known to you that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of Yah, ultimately, what did Israel do? He failed. They failed. They failed over and over and over and over. Just read the book of Joshua and Judges. They fail like they're good for like 40 years, then they fail for 40 years. They're good for 40 years. It always happens to be these 40 years. Keeps popping up. You'll see why in a second. Instead of obeying, they killed the witnesses, just like they wanted to do with Joshua and Caleb. All right, we've gone around the mountain a couple times now. Take all of that, put it all in the back of your spiritual thinking. Now we're going to try to bring it all together. I already said to you, despite what our Hebrew brethren say, despite what our Islamic brethren, I'm calling them brethren because, listen, bottom line, we're all human beings. And I'm hoping and praying that they would open up their eyes to Father. But that's me being hopeful. Somebody asked me about that. Why do I keep calling them brethren? I'm being hopeful. But Messiah is the servant Israel. We just read it in Isaiah. Messiah, the one to come, the one who is called from the womb, who is in the quiver of Elohim, who is hidden in Elohim until his name is made known, and he bears a mouth that comes like a sword, who would be a light to the Gentiles and restore Israel to Israel's. The one who is the servant, the one who is to be restored. All right. Israel fails in the wilderness. The gospel account opens up. I did not come to destroy the law of the prophets. I did not come to do what you have been doing for a long, long time. Instead, I've come to fulfill, to help you understand, to put it in perspective. I did not come to kill or destroy. I came to fulfill. So Messiah comes. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 4, verse 1. Here is Israel. Then Yeshua, or Yahusha, was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tried. Look at the PDP. You can see it in yellow up there, but you can see it in parentheses and on your notes. He's led into the Spirit to be what? Tried, PDP, bitten by the serpent, by the devil. After having fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Wait. Go back in the story. Why do they wander in the wilderness? 40 days spying out the land, a day for a year. Now we have it in reverse. A year for a day. He is embarking on the journey of Israel. And he's going to face the same tests Israel did. Except he's not the Israel number 2 in the book of Isaiah. He's the servant. Verse 2, after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. Think about this for a second. Now, I don't know about you, but after fasting for like a day, I'm starving, your stomach's grumbling, everything smells good. Stuff you wouldn't eat smells good, looks good. Could you imagine 40 days? I couldn't imagine 3 days. It's hard. It's hard to fast. 40 days, which means Messiah, though we understand him as Elohim. Jewish brethren don't, Islamic brethren don't. But we understand. You're going to see, because they say all the time, well, he never really called himself Elohim. Yes, he did. Over and over and over again. It's just you can't see it if you don't have the eyes to see it. You can't hear it if you don't have. How in the world can you believe it? So, after 40 days, the Mashiach, the Messiah, Yahusha of Nazareth, has to be at his weakest physical point. I know you say, well, yeah, maybe Elohim, restored him, but possibly, maybe. But listen, 40 days. 40 days. He's still flesh. He's at his weakest point. It says, and the trier or the tester came and said to him, if you are the son of Elohim, command that these stones become bread. But he answering and said, it has been written. Look at the PDP. So he's being tried. He's being tested. Where? In the wilderness for 40 days. A year for a day now. He is walking the path of Israel, who failed in the desert and beyond. And now he's being told, make bread of these stones that are there. And what does he do? It has been written in the first witness, the Torah. He's quoting the Torah here. He's quoting Deuteronomy 8, which we just read. It has been written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Then the devil took him up into a set-apart city and set him on the edge of the set-apart place and said to him, if you are the son of Elohim. Every time you hear if, every time you hear the serpent speak, really what I want you to think is I want you to think of a viper sticking it to him. Every time, just sticking it to him. And what's his response? He says, set apart place, for if you are the son of Elohim, throw yourself down, for it has been written, and he's going to quote Psalm chapter 91, verses 11 and 12, improperly. He's going to acknowledge that it's Yah's word, but he's going to quote it improperly. Its application is wrong. And Messiah's response is, this is Psalms that he's quoting, he shall command his messengers concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, so that you do not dash your foot against a stone. What is Satan doing here? He didn't get the first witness for Messiah to refuse the first witness. Now what is he doing? He's quoting the Psalms, which is part of the prophets, which is the second witness. And he's sicking it into him. Will he bite? Do this. Do this if you're Elohim. Kill the second witness. Messiah does not. He shall command his messengers concerning you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, so that you do not dash your foot against a stone. Yeshua said to him, it is also written, back to the first witness, you shall not try Yahuwah, your Elohim. Now hold on here a second. Hold on here a second. To our Jewish brethren, to our Islamic brethren. He's quoting Deuteronomy that we just finished reading, where he goes over the thing and he says, and you tested Yah, your Elohim, in the wilderness. And all the different things that they did. And he tells me, you shall worship Yah, your Elohim. Don't test Yah, your Elohim, or else I'm going to come and I'm going to destroy you and kick you out. Who is being tested and tempted here? Yeshua or Yahushua. You shall not test Yah, your Elohim. Who is Yahushua? Yah, your Elohim. Now he's putting the text in its proper context. He said, he's quoting, but he's quoting about himself, because he's the one being tested and tempted. You shall not try Yah, your Elohim. So here is Satan testing Yah, your Elohim, the Son. So does he declare himself Elohim? Yes. Multiple times and multiple ways. If you know enough of the law and the prophets to read what's here and have eyes open to it, and realize, oh my goodness, he just called himself Elohim. Satan didn't argue against that. Said nothing to it. It goes on though. Again, verse 8, the devil took him up on a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory, and said to him, all these I shall give you if you fall down and worship me. Then Yahweh said to him, now the scriptures version says, go Satan. Read some of the other versions and you get something more like, get behind me, Satan. Now look what he writes, or what he quotes, again from the first witness. For it has been written, you shall worship Yah, your Elohim, and him alone you shall serve. Now, think about this for a second. He just tempted Yah, your Elohim, the same way Israel tempted Yah, your Elohim in the wilderness. He's been bitten by the serpent over and over and over again, just like they were bitten by the serpents in the wilderness for the 40 years. And now he is being tested and tempted with all the things of the earth to bow down and worship the tester, the tempter. And look at what his response is. You shall worship Yahuwah, your Elohim, and him alone you shall serve. Why? Remember Deuteronomy chapter 6? I'll put this back up here so you guys can see it. It's kind of slow. There we go. Deuteronomy chapter 6, Exodus chapter, up there it says, worship only Yah. Number 8 on your notes. Verse 15, worship only Yah, you shall have no other ones before you. Verse 15, for Yah, your Elohim, is a jealous El in your midst. lest the displeasure of Yah your Elohim burn against you, and he destroy you from the face of the earth. If you offer worship to any other thing but Elohim, what is he going to do? Don't do it, he says, lest my anger burn and I destroy you from off the face of the earth. Messiah didn't quote that part of the verse to him. What did he tell him? Get behind me. You shall not worship anything but Yah. I'm not worshiping you. You worship Yah, your Elohim. Get behind me before my anger is kindled and I destroy you from the face of the earth. That's the whole verse. That's what he quoted at him. And the tempter leaves. And it says then that the angels came and they ministered to him. I'm sure they didn't bring McDonald's. What did this Israel do in the wilderness? He overcame. He overcame. He overcame the snake bites. He overcame and trusted in the law and the prophets. He overcame and put the Torah and the prophets in their correct and right context. And he rebuked the one who is the tempter. But what did the tempter do every single time? Bit him. He bit him. Every time he tries with if you are. Think of it as a bite. All right. Number 10 on your notes. Listen to what the Messiah says. I know we've said this before, but this is so important. Now in the context of everything we just read, about serpents, about Moses, about why it's getting done, about the garden, about all this wandering in the wilderness. In speaking to the rabbis, the priests, and the scribes, listen to what Mashiach calls them. Matthew chapter 23, verse 29. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Verse 33, you are serpents, a brood of adders. How shall you escape the judgment of Gehenna, the judgment of fire? Wait. What did he just call them? Serpents. What does the serpent do? Twists, changes, alters, denies, kills the testimony so that the people die. In the garden and in the 40 years walking around in the wilderness. And the first Israel failed the test, but the second Israel does not. On that same page, here's John chapter 3 and verse 12. Listen to the master's words. He's talking to Nicodemus, the whole born again story. And he tells Nicodemus, if you do not believe me, when I spoke to you about earthly matters, the shadow down here, how are you going to believe when I speak to you about heavenly matters? And no one has gone up into heaven except he who came down from heaven. Again, who is he claiming to be? Who comes down from heaven? You got to have eyes to see it, ears to hear it, except the son of Adam. And look at what he says. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, because the people were being bitten by fiery serpents, they were in dry places, even so the son of Adam has to be lifted up so that whoever believing in him should not perish but possess everlasting life. Beloved, I want you to look at something here. Isaiah, I'm going to read Isaiah, the next thing, my servant, Isaiah 52 verse 13. See, my servant shall work wisely. He shall be exalted and lifted up very high. Chapter 53 verse 4. Remember, our Jewish brethren think this is about the Israel, the actual little physical people. That same servant, Israel, Truly, he has borne our sicknesses and carried our pains, yet we reckoned him smitten, stricken by Elohim, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our crookedness. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. That's the servant Israel who does this. Not the religion of the Middle East today. Not that. That's not Judaism he's talking about. He's talking about the Israel that succeeds in the wilderness this time. The Israel that does not kill the witnesses, but instead believes and trusts the witnesses. The Israel who is called from his birth, and he's a quiver in he's a bow in Elohim's quiver, hidden in Elohim until his name is made known. And his name is made known, and a sharp sword comes from his mouth. That's Israel, the servant. Just like he told Nicodemus, just like the serpent was lifted up in the days of Moses, Isaiah tells us the same thing. The servant shall be lifted up very high. And in doing that, cover the sins, remove the sins of his people Israel, and to all the nations be a light to them. That picture right there, they're the same picture. It's the same picture. Moses, as the people are being bitten by snakes, are dying, moaning and groaning in pain. Elohim tells Moses to make a bronze serpent, a fiery, a nechash, a symbol that resembles or pictures all the nechash that have come to bite them. All of this stuff, the poison that has gotten into them, that they would reject Elohim's witnesses and instead wind up in death. Take this thing, put it on a pole, and lift it up. And everybody that looks towards that, they'll be healed. They'll be healed. Just because people are who people are, you got to believe that there were people who heard that and thought, what? Nah, it'll never work. And what do you think happened to them? They died. They'd rather stick with the snake bite. Messiah comes along and says, just like in the wilderness, the serpent was lifted up, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. That bronze serpent is the Mashiach being lifted up. Wait, you call him Messiah, a fiery serpent? No, I'm telling you, Messiah was bitten by the fiery serpent. We were told in the beginning, a seed, a son is coming who will crush the head of the serpent. Don't do this. This is not advice. Please do not say PD said this. But if you ever happen to be Arizona, New Mexico, Cali, and you hear a rattle off in the bushes, the last thing you want to do is take your foot and stomp on that thing. You may kill it, but what's going to happen when it bites you? Or you're dead. You're going to die in agony. He crushed the head of the serpent, but the serpent bit his heel. And he did it multiple times, but because he trusted in the witnesses, he didn't fall to it. He didn't fall to it at all. Didn't fall to it. And yet, he died because he was bitten. Because all flesh must die. He is now doing what Israel did in the wilderness. But if you believe in that, trust in that, you will have life. This is important, guys. This is really, really important stuff. Listen to this. You only got a couple of verses left. Colossians chapter 2, verse 4. So obviously this whole message is about Messiah is the Israel of Elohim. And I'm just giving you the story of the temptation in the wilderness. Everything else he does in the book somehow can be found, somewhere be found in the Torah and the prophets. So he says, I didn't come to destroy it. I came to live it. Everything that they did and failed in, I'm going to do and succeed in. And bring everlasting life. To restore, those of the faithful house of Israel, Judah, and of the fullness of the Gentiles, Ephraim, and bring them up and heal them from the snake bites, because we've all been bitten. We've all been bitten. Colossians chapter 2 and verse 4, number 12 on your notes. And this I say, this is Saul now. Now pay real close attention to the PDP, to the yellow up there. If you're watching online, pay attention to this. It's just a commentary by me, but listen to this. And this I say to you, this is Saul, that no one, no fiery serpent deceives you with enticing words, killing the two witnesses. Verse 8. See to it that no one makes prey of you through philosophy and empty deceit, according to the tradition of men, the rabbis and the priests, according to the elementary matters of the world, and not according to Messiah. Because in him dwells all the completeness of Elohim bodily. And you have been made complete in him who is the head of all principality and authority. And you, being dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, because you were bitten by serpents and poisoned and were full of dry places. He, Israel, my servant, has made alive together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses, having blotted out that which was written by hand against us, by the dogmas, rabbinical law, traditions, not believing, not understanding the two witnesses, and being willing to kill them, which stood against us. And he's taken it out of the way, having it nailed to the stake, just like the bronze serpent in the wilderness. Let no one, no rabbi, no priest, no religious leader, no serpent killing the witness, therefore judge you in eating and drinking, or in respect of a festival, or a new month, or new moon, or Sabbaths. We read this, and we read it being bitten. We read it, and we say, well, he's telling us you don't have to do this stuff anymore. Don't let them judge you for not doing it. That's not what he's saying. Beloved, in context, what he's saying is, don't let them judge you the way you're doing it. You're not following rabbinic tradition. You're not following Talmudic tradition. You're not following Pharisaic tradition. You're not doing the Seder the way they do. You may not be even doing a Seder, but you are memorializing the one who is the Passover, the one who is the unleavened bread, the one who is the first fruits, the one who is the giver of the Torah and the Spirit, the one who is going to have the shofar blast come, the one who is the atonement, and the one who wants the tabernacle with us forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Somebody say amen. Oh my goodness. All of a sudden you read it like that. And Saul's saying, don't let them judge you the way they judged Messiah. Oh, why do your disciples eat and my disciples, we fast? We're following what the Pharisees do. Oh, wait, why do your disciples not wash their hands the way we do it? They're doing it the way the Pharisees did it. No, we're not going to do that. Wait, it's Shabbat, and your disciples are taking grain and they're rubbing it in their hands. You're doing Shabbat all wrong. No, he is the Shabbat. And over and over and over and over, they judged him in the way he did these things. And they'll judge us too. Because we understand. We're not following Jewish tradition. We're not following rabbinic tradition. We're following Messiah. And it'll be different because there is no temple. There is no ceremony to do. But there is still a memorial of who he is. And that memorial is to the people who are the house of Israel forever. So we don't forget. So we teach our children year after year after year after year the cycle. That we help them understand who Messiah is. This does not make us Jewish. This is not because Judaism. Far, far from it. When Saul says that what we should do as the Gentiles is to make native-born Israel jealous, is that when they see what we're doing, they recognize it. But then again, they don't. There's something there's something familiar, but not exactly familiar. But what we've done is we've just thrown everything away. And we expect physical Israel, the Jewish brethren, the Muslim brethren, to come to us because we tell them that Jesus is God. They don't believe it. They don't believe it. They don't have eyes to see it. They don't have ears to hear it. And if we don't start obeying and start doing and let them see those things, and they see the things we do, and they see it, and they say, wait a minute, yeah, that makes sense. That will bring them to jealousy. But if we just reject it all, you're not bringing them to jealousy. You're bringing them to anger against us and against Elohim. You don't have the Son. You do not have the Father. So let no one, no rabbi, no priest, no religious leader, no serpent killing the witness, therefore judge you in eating and drinking or in respect of a festival, a new month, a new moon, or Sabbaths, which are a shadow. PDP, what are they? The witness. They're a witness of what is to come. But the body, the truth of it, I have not come to destroy the law and the prophets. I've come to fulfill them. They are me. Everything about them is me. And here's the clincher. 1 Corinthians 5:7. This is Saul, same one who just read what we just wrote there. That I know, a lot of people say, no, he means something else. We're not supposed to do all that stuff. And listen to what his words are. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. Therefore, cleanse out the old leaven, the rabbinical, Pharisaic, Sadduceic teaching, so that you are a new lump, as you are unleavened bread, matzah. For also Messiah, our Passover. Who's Messiah? Our Passover. The servant of Isaiah 53. As our Messiah, the Passover, was slaughtered for us, so then let us celebrate the festival, but not with old leaven of the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the traditions. Can you see that he just explicitly told us, celebrate the festivals, but now Messiah says, beware the leaven of who? Pharisees, Sadducees, Herodians, and they think, oh, it's all about bread. But Messiah says, no, it's their doctrine. It's their twisting and their rejecting of the word. It's their manipulating and the glory seeking and the religious authority and power. All of that is nothing but venom being stuck in us over and over and over again. Keep the feast, just don't do it their way. Don't do what they do. Let no one judge you as you follow Messiah. Nor with the leaven of evil and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of every word of Elohim. The law, the Torah, and the prophets. Two witnesses. Two witnesses. I had some other verses out of John I wanted to share with you where Messiah declares these witnesses, but we'll do that another time. So, Passover's rolling around, and I'm sure your family might ask, why do you do that? Well, now you got an answer. Because it's about Messiah. The whole thing. The whole thing's about him. Everything we're going to do, it's about him. We're not following some other tradition. You know what's kind of neat? Think about this for a second. That first temptation against Messiah, remember what it was? Let me pop that up. There you go. What a crazy picture, huh? He has, I bet it, he's got serpentine stuff on him. He's a Nachash. What was the first temptation? Take this stone and make it bread. Of course, the Messiah puts him in his place. Except, he actually did it. He did. Have you not heard that the stone which the builders have rejected has become the chief cornerstone? This is my body. Take of it. Eat all of it. The bread of life. He actually did what Satan thought he'd never do. But he did it his way. Oh, that's neat. That's neat. So, beloved, keep the two witnesses. Don't throw them out. Yes, read our New Testament. You have to. There's no way to understand it without the other stuff. It's one story. It's the story of Israel. How many disciples does Israel produce? 12. And from them, a nation. Moses, I'm going to wipe these people out, and I'm going to start a new nation from you. Have you not heard the stone which the builders rejected? Therefore, the kingdom shall be taken away from you and given to another people. Exactly what the prophecy said. It's exactly what happened. And here we are. Here we are. All the story being wrapped up. So he did not come to destroy the law and the prophets. He came to fulfill it. And there's still stuff to fulfill because Joshua leads them into the land. Joshua destroys the enemy. David leads them into Jerusalem. David destroys the enemy. Those things haven't happened yet. So not until heaven and earth pass away, but not one jot or one tittle will by any means pass away from the Torah until all, and the prophets, until all things are fulfilled. That is the two witnesses for you for this morning. Amen. If you check out on your notes, number 3, I don't know how I did that. I just skipped right over them. But number 3, I got to read this. You got 10 seconds? Got anything to do today? Nah. Listen to John 8:13. The Pharisees therefore said to him, you bear witness about yourself. Your witness is not true. Yeshua answered and said, even if I bear witness concerning myself, my witness is true. For I know where I came from and where I'm going. But you do not know where I come from or where I go. You judge according to the flesh. I judge no one. But if I do judge, my judgment is true because I'm not alone in it. I and the Father who sent me. I'm not alone in it, but I and the Father who sent me. And in your Torah also it has been written that at the witness of 2 men it is true. I am one who witnesses concerning myself, and the Father who sent me witnesses concerning me. 2 witnesses. John 5:37. And the Father who sent me bore witness of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his form. And you do not have his word, his witnesses in you, the Torah and the prophets, because you do not believe in him who he sent. Search the scriptures, the Torah and the prophets, because you think you possess everlasting life in them. And these 2 are the ones that bear witness of me. It's consistent all the way through the book. And of course, I know some of you think about Revelation, another message for another day. Abba, we love you. We thank you for how awesome and incredible your word is. We ask and we pray that you would let these words settle in our hearts, percolate in our minds. And Abba, that you would continue to feed us the bread of life and make us places that are full of the water of life, that we will not become dry, and open ourselves to the Nechash. In the Master's name, amen. Amen. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I appreciate it. Check out the notes, download them, listen to the message again. Don't forget to give us a what? Thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it, guys. Have an awesome rest of your Shabbat. Say it with me, everybody. Shabbat. Peace.